One.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 13 of The Main Stand. Very, very special episode today. We have with us our first ever real guest that is not just a friend of ours that watches the sport. So we have with us Julian. I'm not going to say your last name. I'm going to butcher it and feel bad. But
No worries.
Julian, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself before we really get into this?
All right, so hello, listeners of the Main Stand podcast. My name is Julian Faustini. I'm 20 years old, and I'm the founder and creator of Culture with Julian, which is a website that pretty much focuses on the Serie A. And on that website, I write articles based on pre-game and post-game analysis, injury updates, and transfer news. What I did was I also created an Instagram account so you guys could follow it. It's at Culture with Julian, where I pretty much post every time I upload an article onto the website, so that way my supporters are updated on like when article is posted, so they could immediately go on the website and view it.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure we link all that stuff right down, like in the description of the YouTube.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, all of his socials will be right down, like in the show notes and everything like that too, guys. So definitely make sure you go follow Julian if you want to get your Serie A updates. I know that it's been a league that we've talked a lot about on the podcast kind of leading up here. It's been Josh's new favorite league over the past few weeks here. So
it's
we just wanted to have
probably
Julian on.
Our number one league to talk about, aside from the Premier League.
Yeah, next to the PL, I think it has.
Because Mitch has been ranting about Fiorentina since the inception of the podcast.
Top six, baby. Here we go.
And
yeah, so we can start with that,
yes.
Julian. So the very first episode of this podcast, Mitchell said that Fiorentina was a really strong contender to top the Serie A table, and he said that they were going to make top six and get into the Champions League. And we have now a bet where if Fiorentina make the top six, I am going to find Mitchell one of the Fiorentina kits that has Nintendo as the sponsor.
Oh my gosh.
They make top six. So we'll start with that. Julian, do you think that Fiorentina can crack the top six of the Serie A this year? And if not, how outrageous of a statement did Mitchell make to start this podcast off?
Well, at the beginning of the season, after Gattuso resigned only after like 30 days, if I'm not mistaken, they hired Vincenzo Italiano, who's very well known, and he did a fantastic job last season leading Spezia and to a very good 15th place finish. So I already knew that he was going to be able to turn Fiorentina around after their poor season last year. And also he made three very impressive signings, Nicolo Gonzalez, Odriozola, and Lucas Torreira, three players that honestly brought like a lot of energy and made this new Fiorentina side a lot more vibrant on the pitch. However, though, I still think that Mitchell's statement is pretty outrageous. Like, outrageous despite all that. But based off everything that's going on this season, Fiorentina has done the impossible. They've managed to clinch 6 wins and 6 losses and are currently like just below the top 6. So like they're proving all the doubters wrong at this point. And can they reach the top 6? It's a little bit too hard to tell as of right now. I mean, as we can see, Juventus right now, like I believe they're in 8th and 9th place. And I think it's hard to ignore the fact that they're probably going to flip the switch with the talent and depth that they have and rise to the top of the table, rise into the top 5 or at least top 4. But I think if there's one team that they could possibly overtake is Roma. As we've seen in the Conference League, Mourinho played a second squad to rest Roma's first team, and they lost 6-1. So we could see that Jose Mourinho's Roma don't have a lot of depth. So I feel like as the season goes on, they're probably going to accumulate plenty of injuries, and I feel like Fiorentina could definitely overtake them and possibly make the top 6. So I don't think it's entirely possible at this point of the season.
Before we get into too much Jose talk, Julian, do you want to tell everyone, we know you're an Inter Milan fan. Do you want to tell everyone kind of that story and like how you got into Serie A and specifically Inter Milan?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, part of the reason why well, Inter Milan is through family because one of my great uncles supported Inter, and ever since then, I've just always fell in love with the club. But the Serie A, especially, it's a league that I've always loved due to the fact that it's always lots of drama. There's so much excitement, and there's so many a lot of like games that are overturned and like unexpected results, even like the bottom place teams overturning and clinching 3 points against the top half teams. So like it's always unexpected, and there's so much drama. The fans themselves too, there's so much passion and loyalty from the fans, and due to the fact that like a lot of the cities are located in close proximity, there's always so many rivals between all 20 clubs. And especially this season is probably the most competitive season we've seen in the Serie A, in my opinion. I was just looking at the tables the other day, and from 14th place to 6th place, there's only a 5-point gap in between all those teams. So it just shows how much of a small difference there are between every team, which makes this league so exciting.
I think one thing that's cool about the Serie A is also the fact that it's like, or like just kind of these big European leagues in general, is they're so tied to the history of that region. So there's like almost that romance about the Serie A too, that like I don't feel like you get that same feel in the Bundesliga or in La Liga. Like obviously there's a different passion. Is it that same level of dedication to your club? Absolutely. But I feel like it's a little bit more of a storybook kind of feel in Serie A over the other top leagues in Europe.
Yeah, and we've been talking about how competitive it is all season. I know I've been talking about that it's just electric, and Napoli's top of the table. That's just I feel like Serie A is better when a lot of the other clubs are also good. I think it was a hard stretch when you knew Juventus was going to win for like 8 years, 9 years in a row, whatever it ended up being. Now that you have like teams like Napoli kind of backing it, Atalanta still fighting for their place, Inter and AC Milan are kind of back at it. It's just, I feel like that's good for Italian soccer and European soccer in general. It's getting people back into the sport, getting new eyes on it. It's just good, juvenile.
Yeah, Cagliari right at the bottom of the table where they belong. No, it's perfect.
I wish Juve were maybe in like 20th, but that's for another day. Yeah,
I'll save it for another episode.
the whole different episode. I could talk about how much I hate that club. For honestly, I don't really know what the specific reason is. I just don't like them.
How do you feel about Jose being back in the Prem, Julian? Or not in the Prem? Sorry, Serie A.
To be honest, as an Inter fan, I was a little bit heartbroken that he took the Roma job because Jose Mourinho, for those who don't know, Jose Mourinho coached Inter Milan in 2010 and led Inter Milan to their first ever treble, and was the only manager in the Serie A to have ever won the treble with an Italian club. So I was a bit heartbroken at first that he went to Roma, because I was hard imagining him coaching another Italian club other than Inter. But however, I do feel like Mourinho brings a lot of excitement to the league itself. I think his ideas and his philosophy, and especially with this Roma side, like there's so much youth, and I feel like this is like Jose Mourinho, like pretty much like rejuvenating himself, going back to the basics, like he did in 2004 with Porto, like taking the squad filled with so many young players and who have lots of potential, and just building off of that and hopefully into something spectacular. So it's going to be, I think it's really exciting. But I was also a little bit disappointed that Antonio Conte left, because I was hoping to see that Conte and Mourinho feud, like, refuel, but unfortunately Conte decided to part ways with Inter. I think that would have brought so much more excitement to the Serie A and so many more viewers into the Serie A. I felt like almost all of Italy would have been hooked on Inter versus Roma, just for the sake of Conte versus Mourinho. I think even the press conference would have been more entertaining than the fixture itself, perhaps.
Electric. A good Mourinho and any manager rivalry, just like personally thinking about like his rivalry he had with Pep in La Liga, like
exactly.
Like, it's just like, it's
he just knows how to play the mental game, exactly.
Yeah, the head games that those guys can do with each other, just like in the press conferences, are amazing.
Right.
Speaking of Jose's treble-winning Inter Milan team, I'm curious your thoughts. So, football all time, where do you place that Jose Mourinho treble-winning team?
Like Champions League all-time winners, or like
just like that, the team itself, like where?
Oh, the team itself. Oh, okay. So the team itself, probably like in the top 10. I feel like right in 10, ranked 10th in the top 10 of all time. First of all, like they have so many. I mean, if you look at that Inter side that Mourinho won the treble with, there's so much like world-class talent. You have Wesley Sneijder, who in my opinion was the best player of the year that season, got robbed from the Ballon d'Or from Messi.
He low-key got robbed.
He low-key got robbed. I mean, let's be honest. He won the treble and made it to the finals in the 2010 World Cup with the Netherlands. He got robbed. Esteban Cabiasso, Zanetti, Milito, Eto'o, Lucio, Samuel. I can go on and on about it. But also at the same time, they didn't have like much depth. Like if you look at their bench, like it wasn't the best bench. Pandev, Montari, Mario Balotelli, who was just on the rise. So that's why I wouldn't rank them so high, like so high within the top 10. But what makes this team so special is like the mentality and the commitment of this team. Like I've never, in all my years of watching the sport, I've never seen a team like so dedicated and so committed towards a goal where they didn't even have reference or any inspiration. Like they couldn't look back into history and say, oh, you know, like let's try to win the treble like these guys. There was no sense of inspiration. Like these guys had to dig deep and be like, okay, like Mourinho went to that dressing room and was like, okay, we're going to make you guys the first ever Italian team to win the treble. They had no history to like gain that inspiration from. They have to like dig deep and find it within themselves. And I think like that's why Jose Mourinho is like the special one, or the one that's not, as he claims, he's not just one of the bottle. Like he's spectacular in the mental aspect of the sport.
Yeah, I think that's what made that team so great is it really was a case of like making history. And I think that their story was so cool. And I think a lot of the players on that side, honestly, I feel like they get a little underrated, like as the years have gone past. So yeah, I would say I think 10 is good. And I was just curious what your thoughts as an Inter Milan fan were about, you know, that side. I imagine for you, it's like, you know, like you love them, I would imagine. But
yeah,
how you felt about them, like from like more of a neutral perspective, because I would love to say that like Man City's 100-point team is the best club side of all time, and you know I would love to make that argument, but you can't always say that. So
right, no, for sure, 100%.
I have a quick thought, just kind of going back to that managerial rivalry that could have been, obviously with all the managerial changes we've seen over even the weekend, the last few days. But like, I guess my thought is like, if Conte did stay, if that whole season was able to have that kind of battle, do you think it would have gotten the respect it deserved with the current climate of the game, with how I feel like over the last few months, just the game of football has kind of been under a magnifying glass with so many player movements, so many scandals, so many like big ticket issues. Do you think it would have gotten the respect it deserves in the setting that it's in?
I think so. I think definitely. I think it would have made the fixture Roma versus Inter already such a big fixture, like two Italian clubs playing against each other. But I think it would have increased the magnification, attract more attention to like having two of the biggest managers who had this feud recently previously in the Premier League facing off in the Serie A in two different clubs. So yeah, I think it would definitely increase the respect. And I think like although they hate each other, I think both of them respect each other as managers. Deep down, they each respect each other's accomplishments, and so yeah, I think it would definitely increase the respect for sure.
Absolutely. I just wanted to see what your perspective
on
that was.
Julian, another, I guess, I'm just going to kind of bombard you with a couple of thoughts that I have about the league, Serie A as a whole here. Just because I feel like the league itself may not get as much, maybe at least not stateside, maybe European, it's or the other side of the globe, it's a little different, but
right.
At least stateside, it's like that league that for us here, it's like only available on ESPN Plus. It's like the league that people go to when like maybe like a big game is on, or like they're like waiting for a team to come on, or like they're turning on their like Roku ESPN app and they're pulling it up and they're like, oh, there's a soccer game on, I'll watch the Serie A. And it's kind of gotten this reputation over the years of being like this like slow and defensive kind of league. And I think that like the English punditry especially has really played a part in giving the league that kind of stereotype. My question for you is that generalization about the football played in Italy true? And if not, what is, like Italian football really like? Yeah.
Well, I think it is true to some extent, like compared to the Premier League, like it's definitely a little bit slower and like more on the defensive side, but there are moments where like the teams go back and forth and like, go like don't care defensively and go straight towards goal. Like we've seen, like for instance, Atalanta, apart from Inter Milan, Atalanta like one of the most exciting sides. You see them like they're pretty much very similar to a lot of the Premier League teams where they don't really have the best defense, so they rely heavily on their offense. And when they have the ball, rather than possessing and trying to break down, they just try to go direct and hope for the best. And like based off statistics, I mean, the 2 seasons ago, the season 2019-2020, Atlanta scored 98 goals in 38 games. So, and the only team who they scored fewer goals than was that Man City team, scoring like over 100 goals. And as you look at in 2021, out of all the top 5 clubs, out of all the clubs in the top 5 leagues across the world, in terms of goals accumulations over the year, Inter, Atalanta, and Napoli are all within the top 5 clubs. So that just shows that although it is labeled, for some reason there's this label of the Serie A as a slow or stagnant league that's very defensive, I don't necessarily think it's completely true, because there are moments where like, there's a lot of clinical goal scorers and they could break down and score plenty of goals, and we've seen it over and over again.
Yeah, I love that Atalanta side. Gosens is one of my favorite players, honestly, like just as a defender.
Gosens is so underrated. He's such an underrated player.
I've packed him 42 times.
Left back, I want Gosens. He is fucking amazing. And Ilicic is a proper baller too. I love him.
Dude has a "You'll Never Walk Alone" tattoo on his leg.
No, that's a fan.
Absolute baller. He's a great player. So I agree. I think.
Did I get punked?
You got punked, Josh.
I thought that was him. Are you sure?
No, 1,000,000%. Ilicic does not have a tattoo of himself on his calf touching the "This is Anfield" sign.
I think he will play for Liverpool.
I also wanted to chime in that just you mentioned Napoli. That's one that goes under the rug too. They are balling this year. Victor Osimhen's insane. He is such a good addition to them. And Lorenzo Insigne too is just a player I always wish Liverpool would have got. I think he's just been fantastic like the past 4 or 5 years in Italy. Napoli are just such 100%. A fun side. We had a couple good run-ins with them too in the Champions League. So
we always do. Those are always good games.
I think there's a lot of good sides in the Serie A. So that was my hope, and I think you did sell it, is that there is really, really quality football in that league. And I'm glad you could be here to kind of be a voice of someone who consistently watches it and can really like speak to it a little bit better than maybe we can sometimes too, because I try to get in as, to dip my toes in every country's ball to some extent, but it's tough to do.
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand what you guys are saying. Yeah, even for me as a Serie A fan, it's hard to constantly watch Liga or the Premier League. I try to watch the big games occasionally, but it's hard. Especially trying to revolve your everyday life around the beautiful game. It's hard sometimes. I totally agree.
Yeah. Do you support the Italian national team too, Julian?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you must have loved this summer.
So yeah, this summer for me it was like a dream come true.
Do you like Roberto Mancini?
Roberto Mancini, yeah, I love Mancini.
I would kiss him. I love Roberto Mancini a lot.
I mean, not only because of the fact that not only like even before Mancini becoming the manager of Italy, like I've always loved them. I always loved the style of play, and I think it was incredible that what he's done with Manchester City, especially that title-winning year with the classic Aguero goal in the last minute versus QPR clinching over Manchester United. But I think like what he's done with the national team was brilliant. The way he changed the whole philosophy of the Italian national team. Usually Italy would just sit back and hope for the counterattack and then score. Well, meanwhile, during the whole Euro, they were possessing, playing out of the back, and constantly trying to go forward. Even when they were up by a goal, rather than just sitting back, they would still try to score a goal and double their lead, and which was very exciting. It was very entertaining to watch Italy. I think it was probably one of the most entertaining Italy sides I've seen in a very long time.
And I think that's a good. I think that's a good argument for like what you were just saying about the league itself. You have these managers that have a plethora of experience playing in other leagues around the world, and they get to bring those experiences back and share them with the Serie A or just the Italian national team, and it changes the way that game is played. It evolves. So you are going to see those flashes of brilliance. Is it still going to be that technical Italian football? Yes, just because that's how it's born and bred.
Right.
That's what we see it as. But you get those flashes of brilliance, those fast build-ups, the counterattack that maybe turns into a little bit of a gegenpress if the ball gets lost. Like, it's just a little bit of a different switch to what is going on that provides something that's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think that's probably, but I never thought of it that way, but I probably think like that's why Italy was playing more of a possessive manner, because Mancini had experience abroad. Many of the Italian national coaches the coaches that were hired usually were within the Serie A or within the country itself. We never had an Italian coach that coached like abroad in another league before, so it was the first time. So I think Mancini being exposed to the Premier League of the style kind of helped implement his philosophy into winning the Euro.
Yeah, we got to see flashes from so many good players that I don't think a lot of people who watch the Euros really got eyes on before. Like, Barella played a real big part. Spinazzola too. In those first few games. Can you give our listeners a young player in Italy to keep their eyes out for, whether that's making a move elsewhere like England or just someone coming up the ranks that you think is going to be a proper baller?
Right now, probably. Well, I think. Well, one of them definitely Chiesa. Yeah. Chiesa has been remarkable for not only for Juventus but even for the Italian national team. The kid's only 22 and he's playing like as if he's Cristiano Ronaldo at the moment. The way he plays with so much confidence, he's so energetic, and he's not afraid to take on those one-on-one scenarios in order to draw the defenders in, and he's so composed and like we saw it during Spain, that all he takes is just one shot and he'll find the back of the net. And, he's somebody you could definitely rely on big games, and that's what you love to see within a rising star. Another one would probably have to be Giacomo Raspadori. He's a young striker, and he's doing pretty well with, I forgot which, I believe it's, is it Sassuolo? I believe it's Sassuolo, yeah. It's Aston. He's doing pretty well. Last season, he scored in very little appearances. He scored about 5-6 goals, and he made the Euro squad last summer. So he's definitely on the rise too, and I wouldn't be surprised seeing him soon replace Ciro Immobile, who's aging, and it's probably going to retire within time.
Yeah. Another young player I've kind of had my eyes on, Sandro Tonali.
For sure, yeah. Sandro Tonali has been brilliant for sure. I mean, especially for AC Milan this year, I think we've seen the brilliance that he could bring, the creativity, the way he wins the ball back. After a difficult season last year as an AC Milan player, we this season we saw more of his talent and what he could bring to the team for sure.
Yeah,
very, very good player. I like him a lot. So we have a bit of a fun question for you.
I have another one to add into this too.
Okay, for sure.
So the first one, best Italian football brand, Kappa or Diodora?
Or Macron.
Or Macron.
I forgot that one.
Okay. I have to go with Kappa. I mean, I always love their clothing. I used to work at Evangelista Sports, which is like pretty much like the largest retailers of soccer in Canada, and they sell Kappa clothes. It's just the clothing is always so nice. And also, like, whenever I think of Kappa, I always think back to the days of the classic jerseys, Serie A jerseys, where pretty much like in that moment all of the Serie A clubs were sponsored by Kappa. So it just brings back like all those beautiful memories. So I would have to go with Kappa.
Those late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's so much history.
I just picture Totti, like just that iconic frosted tips, gelled up. Like the Kappa kits were so clean.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Dude, the tracksuits were something else. There's like, you can find old Kappa, Juve tracksuits. Dude, if you see someone wearing one of those, smoking a couple Bernies, that is not someone to mess with.
Yeah, you know for sure, man. You know.
Or the old Napoli ones that had the logo like all down the arms. Those are cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Napoli's one of the only clubs who still have Kappa as a sponsor. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Great.
Were they Kappa when they used to have Mars as the sponsor on the front?
I'm not too sure.
Back when Maradona played, I'm not sure if they were either back then.
We'll have to do a deep dive. We'll figure that out. We'll come back out. We'll talk to our people. We'll get on the phone to the analytics side of this department here, and we'll get back to you guys with that.
For sure.
Do we have any other questions to ask Julian? Do we want to, ask him anything about the coaching carousel that's going on here?
Yeah, let's tuck into some coaching carousel. We've had some big moves happen over the last couple of days, and some heavy rumors start. You want to start over in Spain in La Liga?
Boom. I'm excited about this one. I'm gonna be honest. I don't mind kicking this off because I kind of like Barca. I love Xavi. I'm excited about it. It feels really similar to the Guardiola appointment in 2008. Obviously, it's a little bit different because Barca are like really dog shit now. Like, they were bad when Guardiola took over in 2008, but like they've got like
not this bad
right now, and it's not a case of like a lot of aging superstars. It's like they just lost all of their superstars like beforehand, and Xavi coming in the middle of the season is scary. So Barca are bad,
and injured.
I'm a believer that Xavi can turn this team around and actually get Barca playing well. His side in Saudi Arabia played good ball, and I think he can do it. I think that Xavi will get Barcelona back to some semblance of their identity.
I think injuries need to get fixed first and foremost. They have enough players injured right now to field an entire 11 and almost a bench.
Wow.
It's bad. It is bad.
Direct result of bad transfer policy. I hate Barcelona, and I can't reiterate the point enough that Xavi is just a puppet for Laporta. It is the dumbest. I mean, Barcelona is going to be a case study in a couple years by Kellogg that they're going to give to college students across the country on just bad organizational culture. They are at that level of bad. And this is just another example of, yes, Guardiola is a good one of a former player that ended up working. This is a Lampard signing. He might have a little hot streak just because there's a manager, but he is going to get fired within the next year and a half.
I hope not. I hope he works out. I'm a believer. I'm going to believe until he's fucking terrible, but I'm a believer.
Until he's having to do the thing with the friends in the press.
Right. I will be a believer until I see the Fabrizio Romano, here we go, Xavi is getting sacked tweet. Until that happens.
Exactly.
I still have no fucking clue where this guy came from.
What?
It's just like one day Fabrizio Romano was like the biggest fucking guy in soccer news.
I don't know. The guy is insane. Like, I watched the video, A Day in Fabrizio Romano's Life, and it's like insane like what he does in a day. Like it's crazy.
Like he's a robot. He's a fucking robot.
I don't understand how you make that many contacts.
He has to have 3 times the amount of phones as Adam Schefter. There's way more soccer news. There's way more soccer news going around than football news, American football news. But I mean, Fabrizio, if he in 3 months has a tweet that says Xavi out, I think it would be an injustice to him as a manager. I don't think it gives him a rightful opportunity. I think they have to give him at least a year, 2 years to figure things out. It's not an overnight fix.
I think Xavi's status in Barcelona and what he really means to that club will get him time, similar to how Lampard got a little extra time at Chelsea. So I don't think that it's going to be a case of they expect an immediate turnaround or he's out. I think he'll get a full season and then some to really implement his style of play, and maybe he'll get a transfer window. I don't know who they can buy, but there have been Raheem Sterling rumors again. Take him.
Wow, bold language from you, Pat. Take him.
I like.
You got to get rid of this guy.
He can't finish his dinner.
Oh my!
Oh my gosh.
The other manager that we all get to talk about, or really listen to Mitchell and Josh talk about, is Steven Gerrard going from Rangers to Villa. This one feels a little bit better to me. I mean, from just a maybe he earned it standpoint, because 3 years with Rangers, won the Scottish Premiership undefeated. So I mean, he's got a little bit more merit to earn this transfer. I think it's a good move personally. What about you guys?
Mitch, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I just hope it's not too soon. I definitely think it's a good opportunity for him to get that next level experience as a manager. But I mean, he's transitioned so fast from player to manager, and he's found success so fast. And I don't want him to get thrown into a position where the success isn't going to be there right away, because Liverpool fans are hypercritical. We all know that. I feel like any football supporter is going to be a homer and hypercritical of their club and their former players and whatnot. But Steven Gerrard has proven himself to be a good manager. He was the leader of our club for years. So he understands what it takes to control a locker room. Tactically, obviously, going through a season undefeated is massive to win the Premiership. But this is the Premier League now. He's stepping into a pivotal role in a solid side, and he has a really good opportunity on his shoulders. And I think, this is the test run to see what is going to happen in 3 years from now when Klopp is moving on. Is Steven Gerrard going to step up to the plate, produce a good, solid, competitive Villa side, do good things in the Premier League, and earn his spot as Liverpool manager? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see him next weekend.
It's tough, but I would like to use the comparison of Brendan Rodgers. He came from Celtic, went to Leicester, mid-table team. Kind of like a very similar situation in terms of probably where they should be at in the table, considering what Villa have spent in the summer window. And Brendan Rodgers has done just fine over the past 4 years since he left Celtic. I don't think we understand really how good Stevie G's Rangers side really is. I mean, he turned a side of some Liverpool young rejects and a few Scottish players into a team that scored 92 goals and conceded 13 in an entire season. I mean, that is impressive at any level. Mm-hmm. And I do think he has, the brain to be a manager. Villa's a great place for him. It's a great footballing city. Birmingham, it's tough, but it's just so rich in football heritage. And it's not like he has to go out and be a world beater and win the league or get top 4. He's just expected to be in that probably 9-6 realm, at least this year where they started off bad. But, I mean, they've lost 5 in a row, so he can only go up from here. He has a lot of talent out on the pitch. It's just about really freeing them up and letting them go play. I don't think Dean Smith was a bad manager for Villa. I think he suffered as a part of Jack Grealish leaving and kind of figuring out those tactics afterwards. But this is a great spot for Stevie. As far as like this being a stepping stone to Liverpool, I'm one of those people that I'm not fully sold on Gerrard coming to Liverpool. It would be a feel-good thing. Would it be something that would feel good in a few years if he doesn't come up with the results that Liverpool fans kind of,
No, it would suck.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, the reality about managing in soccer is that most managers do get the sack. It is very rare that managers and teams separate mutually, or they just, like what Jurgen Klopp will be eventually. It'll be I want to stop coaching here, go to my next team, take a break, or just be done football in general. That's how Jurgen Klopp is going to leave Liverpool. Stevie G, I mean, is he going to join us at 45 and then manage us for 40 years? No, he's not. So he's probably going to get the sack eventually, and I just hate the thought of that. So I'm not fully sold on like bringing him in. I hope he smashes it at Villa, though, and I think he will give it a proper go.
And I don't want my words to be misconstrued. I'm not sold on it either. I don't know if that is the right fit, because it's like breaking up with your girlfriend after a really great relationship, and then she wants to be your friend, and then she just breaks your heart again if she doesn't produce. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want Steven Gerrard's legacy to shift from what it already is, because he's such a prolific member of our club's history. And maybe that has been the game plan all along. Maybe that has been his goal, is to work his way up from a local lad all the way up to managing the club. We don't know that.
I definitely think that's it.
But like, that's kind of, it's like, it's not that it's done and dusted, but I feel like it's assumed. I feel like it's assumed that he is going to do that eventually.
What are your thoughts on it, Julian? Do you have any thoughts on Gerrard or managing in the Premier League? Do you think he'll go to Liverpool?
First of all, to be honest, like I'm really happy to see Steven Gerrard going to Aston Villa and coming back to the Premier League. I think he has the leadership skills and the tactics necessary to turn this poor Aston Villa side around, and to end the season in a decent result. And I definitely do think that Steven Gerrard's goal is to eventually be able to be the manager of his childhood club, Liverpool. I do think that this is probably a stepping stone. But like Mitchell said, it would be unfortunate that he gets sacked and all of a sudden we kind of forget the legacy and what he's done and his brilliance with Liverpool. And with pretty much like he said, it would be unfortunate that his brilliance is shattered by his failure as a manager. So that would be devastating. That would be heartbreaking. I really hope that he does succeed at Aston Villa. I really want him to, and I think although it's quite a risk for Aston Villa to bring in Steven Gerrard, although he has had the experience with Rangers, not the biggest club, but I think it's a very good starting point for Steven Gerrard. There's not too much expected from him. There's not too much pressure. And I think if you give him 2 to 3 years, he could definitely turn this Aston Villa side around into a team that could probably finish within the top 6 for sure. Especially seeing how willingly the investors are devoted to and putting money into the team in order to bring these big players in. I could see Stevie G turning this Aston Villa side around within 2 to 3 seasons.
And I think one good thing too is he's young, so it's not as hard. It's not as far of a stretch for a young player to connect with him. He's not that far removed from the game, so those experiences are kind of more valid. It's not like I played the game in the 80s and it was we ripped heaters on the bench before kickoff, and then we got into a fist fight in the locker room afterward. It's a very different game now, and I think getting younger players to buy into a system is going to be easier for him to create that.
Yeah, for sure.
It removes literally every ounce of pressure. So
100%.
I'm interested to see it, and I'm interested to see what happens in the Norwich camp too, because we have some rumors.
Can I just say one thing, Mitch?
You got it.
In exactly 1 month from today, Aston Villa play Liverpool at Anfield.
Oh wow!
In just a
I don't
month.
think there's not going to be a single Liverpool fan that misses that game.
Oh, dude! Liverpool will just be
the whole Premier
empty.
League. All the Premier League supporters are gonna watch that. All the Premier League supporters are gonna watch that. To see Stevie G play against his former club, like even I'm gonna watch that as a Serie A
trap game.
City or
Boys, early trap game.
Every game we cover is a trap game for you, Mitch. I'm tired of it.
Shut your mouth. You're only mad at me when I'm right.
Mitch
Which
just
is
doesn't want to
every
be the
week.
podcast. Mitch has to be the lawful neutral.
But it gets me places because I'm right.
Sometimes.
Especially with that Fiorentina pick. Anyway.
Can't wait for 10th, Mitchell. What are you going to get me when they don't finish in the top 6?
Nothing.
Confident?
Nothing.
All right.
So back to the manager, carousel. We have some rumors coming out of Norwich that Frank Lampard could be heading over to the yellow and green. Are we going to see Gerrard and Lampard face off again in the Premier League? And is it going to be sooner than we think?
It'll be like the exact opposite of their Premier League careers because Gerrard will win and Lampard will lose.
Shut your fucking mouth.
It's true. Lampard's a fucking bad manager, dude. If I'm Norwich, I'm not hiring Frank Lampard.
Dude, this is what I'm saying. Is it possible? 100% yes, it's going to happen. Is it a stupid appointment? Even more. I mean, what a dumb signing.
Is Teemu Pukki older than Lampard at this point?
That's funny, but no, I don't think so. I think he's 34.
It's getting close. It's getting close.
Dude, I mean, Norwich is bad, man.
I don't think that anybody can save this Norwich side. I just think they're getting relegated. But if you bring in Frank Lampard, I'm going to be laughing for the remaining 28 games of the season because they're getting relegated.
I think what they should do is they should just not hire a manager, not bring in Lampard, and just appoint Josh Sargent to be player manager for the rest of the year.
Player manager.
What do they have? Right. What do they have to lose? Nothing.
Facts. Just make Teemu Pukki player manager and just let him ride it out back into the championship.
he's the player. He's the captain. He's a manager. He's like the director of football operations, and he's like the concession manager.
I feel like Pukki already probably has that role for Finland.
Their books. He scores them a goal every once in a while. He wears the captain's armband, and he picks the starting 11 and always writes his name first. It would be a story if they could get out of the relegation zone, but no. No shot. I don't think Lampard matters at all. I do agree. I think he's going to end up being their coach, but they're getting relegated. I think this is just like cool. How cool is that? Lampard's manager again. He's going to get relegated. Next.
You know what my favorite thing about Lampard going to Norwich is? So when they play Leeds away, the Leeds fans can tell him to stop crying.
You know what? I think I'm gonna get off the podcast at this stop. I can't keep doing this, Josh.
What?
I can't keep listening to you say shit like this.
What's wrong with that?
Mitch is actually a Chelsea fan.
I bleed blue, brother.
Switched from Liverpool or Chelsea to Liverpool the year they won the Champions League.
Yep.
Don't let him.
Everybody knows this.
Yeah, exactly. That he bought that flag yesterday. That's behind him there.
Right when Lampard told Klopp he was giving it the biggin, Mitch switched sides.
Yeah, exactly. So we've kind of gone around the manager carousel here. We've introduced you all to our friend Julian. this weekend is the international break, so we're going to tuck into like a really short weekend preview. And I'm going to kick it off with one that is not in the notes because I think we're doing our new friend an injustice, not letting him get to talk about a World Cup qualifier.
This is fair.
You got Italy and Switzerland this weekend. How are you feeling going into that game?
This is a big fixture to watch. I mean, as of right now, Italy and Switzerland are tied at 14 points for first place. So whoever wins this is pretty much going to clinch an automatic spot into the 2022 World Cup. So this is one fixture you definitely won't want to miss. Although I'm very excited, I'm very nervous because Switzerland's we saw it in the Euro. Switzerland's a very talented team. They're a very committed group. They play very collective, and they have the capabilities to definitely cause what's the term that I'm looking for?
A bit of an upset.
A bit of an upset, exactly. A bit of an upset.
We'll make a shock. I got you, dude. Don't worry about it. I don't know how to talk.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
Does Gerrard Shaqiri scare you a little bit? Going up against Italy.
Shaqiri, a bit. I mean, he's very technical. He's very technical on the ball. He's very technical. He's one of the best. He's a very underrated winger. Like, especially the way he uses both his feet, he's very underrated. And I think like he has the goal scoring capabilities too. I think he's a major threat to the Italians' back line for sure. I could definitely see him being one player that they definitely have to watch out for sure.
And Italy's defense is so good, man. I mean, Donnarumma is just a brick wall in goal. It's unfair.
As he should be.
Yeah, Donnarumma is pretty much the best goalie in the world right now. I think we can all agree with that. He's phenomenal.
He is unbelievable. Literal robot. It's unbelievable watching what he can do between the sticks.
I think it's absurd how long he has been playing at the top level. He was.
Yeah, he made his AC Milan debut at 16. Yeah.
He was like their starting keeper by like fucking 18, 17. He's just.
Yeah. Exactly.
Phenomenal player, great beard, amazing goalie.
I do have one quick question, though, not too serious. But how does it feel actually having a good international side?
Yeah, how is that?
Is that nice?
Is it nice? Like, yeah, is it cool?
Do you get to sleep?
I mean, it feels pretty good. Like, when the World Cup is coming, you feel pretty excited. You actually, like, how do I say it? You go into the World Cup thinking, like, man, like, we actually have a chance of winning this thing, you know? Like,
what is that?
You know, it's not like...
what is it like not going into your World Cup group like, yo, man, I hope we get to the quarterfinals this year.
I hope we beat Costa Rica.
Yeah, yo, I hope we qualify. Because
I don't know, it feels pretty good. I have to be honest, it feels good. But
I one day I really, really hope the USA gets there. It won't be in my fucking lifetime, that's for sure. But I hope it's one day.
I think it's sooner than we think it is. But right now it is with Gregiga at the helm.
I am the men's national team pessimist. We have a bald idiot coaching our team, and we're going to lose to Mexico on Saturday. There's the weekend preview with me.
That's a big match in Cincinnati too. It's going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be big for CONCACAF for sure. It's going to be a huge fixture that can play a pivotal role in deciding who's going to qualify to Qatar for sure.
Do you follow Canada at all, Julian?
Yeah, I've been following. I've watched all their games up until now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the up, man. With Alphonso Davies is a baller, man. He's so good.
Alphonso Davies is phenomenal. That guy, he's so like he could play any position. You could put him on the wing. You could play him as a fullback. He's just phenomenal. The way his pace and his ability to dribble past defenders and the way he distributes the ball with such precision, it's remarkable. He's honestly a pleasure to watch. It's insane.
Unbelievably
team too.
Yeah.
The Canadian women's team is nuts.
Yeah, I know. Canada's women's team have always been a top team for sure. Yeah.
I don't know what it is about like North America in particular, like the USA and Canada. We produce pretty mediocre men's football teams and then our women's teams, I mean, the U.S. women's team is the best of all time.
Yeah, it's a powerhouse. It's a powerhouse, yeah.
And our men's team is just like, oh, I hope we qualify for the World Cup.
Do you guys remember when Tim Howard was our keeper?
Yeah, right. I get to think back to like, man, the last time I was happy about the fucking men's national team was literally 2014.
Do you have any other thought?
That was Tim Howard's best performance though versus Belgium in the round of 16. He had an insane performance versus Belgium.
You know what happened in that game, Julian? We brought this fucking bum named Chris Wondolowski with us to Brazil.
Hey! I actually like him.
He retired yesterday.
Wando is a.
Oh my god.
He literally retired yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, and he's a bum, and he is the reason we did not equalize in that game.
Yes.
You know who took his chance? The 16-year-old that came off the bench. Not Wando, Mr. Veteran, missed an open goal. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's talk about it.
You're wearing tie-dye. You can't be that mad. We have Uruguay and Argentina.
Yeah, that's a feisty one in Uruguay tomorrow night. Messi could play. He's been training with the Argentinian team despite sitting out of his last 2 games with PSG, which is a little bit funny.
He looks happy.
Yes. Cavani is out for Uruguay. Uruguay's kind of in a weird predicament. They're in 5th place, which is that Inter-Confederation playoff spot for CONMEBOL. Argentina are in 2nd place, but they're really comfortable. They're not going to catch up to Brazil. Brazil are, I think they're undefeated. They might have drawn one.
Yeah, they've been dominating.
Yeah, they're just solid. They're in a good spot. They don't really have to go too hard in this game, but it's in Uruguay. These 2 teams are just known for feisty matchups. It's generally a match that Uruguay has won, especially recently. So I do think Argentina will probably win, but like all international matches, it'll probably be a low score line. 1-0, 2-1.
I would expect a lot of whistles.
Yeah. Low score. They're going to literally murder each other for 90 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be very physical for sure. It's always
broken legs everywhere.
Whenever 2 big South American teams play, you're always going to have a bit of that feistiness, a bit of that physical battle for sure, 100%.
CONMEBOL trademark is just like killing each other in World Cup qualifiers.
Studs up into every challenge.
Yeah, they kill each other. Like their World Cup.
Some of the challenges during the Copa America were pretty savage. Like, let's be honest, they were pretty savage.
And like they get like yellows because it's like studs were up, but he only went in with 1 foot. We'll give him the yellow.
He only drew a little bit of blood.
Yeah, it's he's fine. He didn't break his ankle. Yellow card. Got a little easier next time, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
Another one that I actually like because despite the fact that it's Spain and Sweden. I'll start with that. It's Spain and Sweden, but I have a soft spot for the Spanish national team just because like the time I started watching football, like really getting into it, was like that 2010 to 2012 Spain team that was just like
could not be beat.
So good.
Yeah, that was like amazing. Yeah.
Amazing side. So I also had a little bit of a soft spot.
That was the best ever side.
Yeah, I think the Spanish side will do well. I think they're going to beat Sweden, but I think it will be a little bit of a close game. What about you guys?
I'm right there with you. I think Spain all the way here, but I think it's just kind of ironing out the changes that have been made over the last year to the side. You have Ferran Torres is playing on the Spanish team, correct?
No, he's still injured, but yeah,
he's still injured. Like those new little pieces, I think are going to go a long way once they start getting more minutes, more playing time, healthy from injury.
After Laporte's nationality switch over from France to Spain, which, by the way, criminal that he couldn't get a game for that French team. Criminal.
I don't know how he never made the French roster, but anyways, that's a different story. That's another story to leave.
He couldn't get in that back line, but that's a totally different story. I think he looks way more comfortable in the Spanish side, too. He can really, really, really utilize that left foot of his. Phenomenal passing center back. I think he fits in with Spain way better than he fits in with France. So he seems to be getting on well too, which is cool. But like Mitchell said, just like implementing the new pieces. These past few years have kind of felt like not a transitional period for Spain, but it's certainly like they don't have Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets in the midfield, and that's really all you have to say about how this Spain is versus like what that Spain really was.
Yeah, Spain's just not what they used to be, man.
Is this PK's last year on the team too?
I have no idea.
I think I'm pretty sure he retired from the national team already.
Oh yeah, no, he's not. Yeah, Julian is right. He is not in the side anymore. Yeah,
PK retired from the national
team. Those are big, huge staples of that side. So losing them it's gonna take
from the Spanish national team.
Yeah, it's just gonna take some time, and I think once they find their footing, it's gonna be right back to where they want to be. Spain is known for playing a very fast brand of football, and I think they have a lot of really good pieces to play that brand. I think it's just getting it to gel again.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Mitchell said, and I think we've seen it. I think the transitioning phase is occurring a lot faster than we all realize. I mean, we've seen it in the Euros where they made it all the way to the semifinals, and they could have easily beaten that Italy side. They had so many scoring opportunities, and even in the Nations League final, they beat Italy. And those new pieces of the puzzle, Xavi and Pedri, have been phenomenal. Xavi, the 17-year-old, it was his first appearance with the red and white of Spain, and he was remarkable on the pitch. So I don't think they're too far off, and I think if you give them a year or two more, they could definitely clinch a World Cup or a Euro for sure.
Pedri's got like iron lungs. I don't know how I forgot to mention him, but like that dude is like, he must not do anything but like play football and sleep in a cryogenic chamber, because he has played like.
Well, I'll tell you what he did all summer.
Yeah, he's played an unbelievable amount of football, and the fact that he's like kept up the levels too is like a testament to like both his fitness and his ability. I definitely think that he's going to be a player to talk about in the next several years.
The dude looks depressed all the time, though.
He's tired, bro.
He's exhausted.
He's sleeping.
Every 3 days.
I don't want to play every game.
Didn't we do the math like last week? It's like a game every 3.4 days over the last year.
Yeah,
he's played.
That's crazy,
dude. It's just
he's pretty much a starter and pretty much every those games is a starter. More
at
or less,
least 70 minutes. At least 70 minutes in every.
At least, yeah, exactly.
I feel bad for the guy. Like, I'm out of breath thinking about it.
My gripe with Barcelona has just flooded into the Spanish national team. I just have a gripe with them. I don't know why.
You have to dislike them all the time, man.
I just do, man. I don't know. I can't stand them.
Them blocking you rubbed you in such the wrong way.
No, that was just that made me feel good, if anything.
You might think that on the outside, but deep down, you're concealing something, Josh. We all see it.
The last two games we get to go to the Women's Super League over in England here. We've got the North London Derby in the Women's League here. The Arsenal women are fucking so good. They're perfect, and they've only been scored on twice. I think they're going to beat the brakes off Tottenham.
And Tottenham's a good women's team too. I watched Arsenal women, I think 2 weeks ago. I believe they're nasty, man. That Kim Little player is unreal. She can bag some goals. Very, very good player. They're a fun side. If anybody out there wants to watch the women's league this weekend, definitely watch the North London Derby. It's genuinely going to be a really good game. Then the other one we've got this weekend is going to be the Man City women and the Chelsea women. The Chelsea women are really good, and yeah. The Man City women are really good too. Man City is loaded. I think they've got some injuries though. They've got a couple that are coming back. Okay. I think Lucy Bronze is coming back from injury. I think she's either expected to be on the bench this weekend. Not 100% sure though, but I know I've seen City tweeting about they've got some players coming back from injury. So I expect Chelsea to probably take this one, but Man City women, similar to the men a couple of years ago, have been kind of plagued by injuries this year. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and we're a progressive podcast, so we always like to cover the big Super League games.
Also, sticking in women's soccer, huge news story. We skipped right over.
I'm so excited about this.
Over in France, the PSG women have found themselves in hot water. Aminata Diallo, midfielder, new to the club. What is she, 22? She's young. So her and Kira, I believe you pronounce it Amri or Amwi.
Not sure.
Anyway, Diallo offers to give her a ride to family dinner or team dinner, and hires hitmen to stop the car, drag them both out of the vehicle, hold Diallo to the side, and proceed to beat the ever-living shit out of Kira's legs so she could take her position. This is some Tanya Harding 94 type shit. When I heard this, I thought it was fake. I thought somebody was making it up. I thought it was April Fool's Day. No, this shit is straight up out of a movie. Like, could you imagine setting up your teammate to damage her legs so you could take her position because you share a position?
That's terrible. That's ridiculous.
Literally, it's absurd. That is absurd. And same as Mitch. Mitch sent me the Instagram thing about it that like linked to the article or whatever, and I was like, no fucking way. This is fake. This is fake. Why is 433, this giant football Instagram publication, posting, as our former president would say, fake news? What? That's not true. And then I read the article and I was like, no fucking way, that really happened. That's absurd. So
I had a hard time wrapping my head around it too, for sure. I just found like it was just it's just so stupid to imagine teammates hurting each other. Like, it was just so like absurd. Like, I don't know.
The crazy thing to me is she actually got the minutes. They played a match the following day and started in her position, knowing full and well she organized breaking this woman's legs. She was in the hospital for a couple of days getting the leg injuries and hand injuries, the self-defense injuries treated. I don't know how, as a club, you move on from something like this. Like, in America, we had the Tanya Harding situation, but that was an individual sport. They were individual figure skaters on the U.S. national team for the 94 Olympics. Tanya Harding didn't want the competition. Nancy Kerrigan was the direct competitor. So what she do? She hires her ex-husband to go jump her in the fucking tunnel at the ice rink. It's the exact same thing. Like, did Diallo read about Tanya Harding? Did she watch I, Tonya last week? And she's like, oh shit, I got the idea. I'm going to be getting some minutes.
It's a really good movie, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Sorry to deviate. It's a good movie. It's a good flick. It's a good movie.
Yes. Based on a true story.
Yeah, it's a good film. It's a good film based on an absurd true story. Maybe we'll get a movie out of this one.
Doesn't mean you should beat the ever-living shit out of your teammates with lead pipes.
I think PSG have to terminate Diallo's contract, right? Like, maybe they're waiting.
They have to. They have to.
They've just released a statement that says that they're aware that she's been arrested and she's in police custody, but that's all we've heard so far from the club.
Probably legally they can't release her until the court proceedings are done.
And all the facts need to come out, but just the sheer amount of similarities from person to person that's released this story, that has been talking about this story. I think enough of the facts are very clear. I mean, it was within 2 days that she was found to be at fault for this and organizing this. So obviously the right moves are being made. I just feel so bad. You know, you're a 32-year-old veteran. You've been playing the game your whole life. You grow up being taught to earn your position, and clearly she did that. She's playing for one of the top clubs in the world, and to have a young player come in and forcibly take her spot it's just an abomination to the game. It's an abomination to being a human being and putting in that work. It discredits every single other player that has worked their ass off to be in that situation, and it's just embarrassing.
Agree. Yeah, I think most sensible people will agree with you, Mitchell.
They fucking better.
Third story.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Literally,
I think it puts a poor image on the sport as a whole as well. Like, I think, like, I don't know, like it definitely it kind of hurts the image of the beautiful game that like shit like this could actually happen. And everybody thinks of soccer as the beautiful game of football is such a respectful sport where, like, teams that share sportsmanship and such a committed group of people, and like to hear this, it's this kind of downsides that, in my opinion. It kind of shatters a little bit of the image of the beautiful game.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that there.
Not a surprise that it came from PSG.
I have to agree with you on that one, John.
All things considered. I think, before we close the episode out, I would like to make good on my promise that I made when we started Rick's Picks. Josh, how did last week go before we closed the episode out?
3 for 7, so almost 50%. We're still shooting well under 500 because of our 3 for 11 week a couple weeks ago. That was really bad.
Oof.
We're getting there. Well, we didn't make it official picks this weekend because there was no club matches. If there was club matches, we'd make picks. No picks this week where it's just international games.
Right.
Okay.
We don't gamble on territories. This isn't risk.
There's a hot take on the graphic. I'm sticking to the graphic and giving a hot take, but Pat cannot talk. We will discuss it next week.
Oh, we're doing the cliffhanger thing again.
We're doing the cliffhanger thing, and it's going to be very hard. I'm going to stop recording so Pat can't talk.
Well, okay.
I'll just sit here and stare at my camera.
I'll just do what I did last time. I'll head right into the outro when you're done talking. You just give me the bat signal.
Say it, Josh.
Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best right back in the Premier League.
And that is the main stand, episode 13 or 14, because Pat wanted to have an episode 0. We're not letting him talk today. Julian, huge thank you for coming on, being our first real guest. We didn't have to ask one of our friends to come on. You provided a ton of great perspective. If you wouldn't mind plugging your what you're working on one more time for people listening, and we'll absolutely get those links down in the description.
For sure. Well, thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast. It's been a pleasure to work with you guys and share the table with you guys and talk about the beautiful game with you all. And for sure, definitely, if you listeners of the Main Stand podcast are interested in informing yourselves about the Serie A, please, visit www.culturewithjulian.com, where I post articles discussing post and pre-game analysis, injury updates, and transfer news revolving around the Serie A. And you can also follow me on Instagram, where I upload little previews of the articles that are so that way my supporters are informed of when the articles are posted on the website, so they could just go on once that Instagram post is made. I have tons of things going on. I have other podcasts I'm going to be featured on eventually. Don't want to talk too much about it. I want to try to keep my Culture with Julian supporters in suspense. And definitely love working with you guys. We could collaborate again. If ever you guys want to have me on another episode, feel free to give me a text and I'll reach out and we could connect as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Thanks for having you on. Really, really, really nice meeting you, man. Again, appreciate you being here. Like Mitchell said, first real guest we've ever had. How fucking cool is that? It's not I went to school with.
Yeah.
So Awesome, man. Thank you. Everybody out there listening, Julian's socials and everything like that will be right down in the description and or show notes, depending on what you're listening / watching. However you choose to consume this content, we will make it convenient for you to introduce yourself to Julian. Anything else, guys? Closing out the episode today.
I think that's it. Do the thing, comment on the thing, like the thing, share the thing, listen to the thing if you made it this far in the thing. It's been a blast. Again, can't thank Julian enough for taking some time out of his day to hop on and talk Serie A with us. Huge amount of perspective. I appreciate him backing me all the way, 100%, without fear, on my Fiorentina pick. We all
That's
heard
not
that.
What I heard.
We all heard that.
I heard
we all heard that. But we will be back at it again next Friday. We will see you guys then.
Deuce.
Peace. Peace. And that's